Right, I'm going to talk about tetrachords. So a tetrachord is four pitches to a perfect fourth. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. Or whatever. We'll go through them later. Um, the point of tetrachords is they are useful in the music of different cultures, but still related cultures. So Europe, Middle East, India all use tetrachords. China doesn't. It's not universal, but they come up in different places, and it's a different way of thinking from chords. In European or Western music, we often talk about chords, and it's a bit of a trick in the name, but a tetrachord is not a chord. Tetrachord, I think, comes from the Greek. It means four strings. So you'd have a harp with four strings. You'd strum across it. You go dum 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 dum. Four strings, four notes. It's not a chord. So well, let's start with the first tetrachord. You know, I say most people. Well, I don't know. But anyway, the major tetrachord, which I say, and on this guitar, two different major tetrachords. First one, second one, and it's a difference in this. So you can join your tetrachords either conjunctly or disjunctly. So conjunct means you just stick them next together. So the first one, then you start the next one up on that pitch. That's and that gives you a Mixolydian scale. If you join your major tetrachords disjunctly, was I getting this the right way round? Disjunctly, it means you put a whole tone between where one finishes and the next started, which means the second one starts a perfect fifth above the first one. So you could say this is pentachords joined with a tetrachord, but we're talking about tetrachords today, and conjunct tetrachords are perfectly valid. So there you go. Major tetrachords gives you the major scale. So one reason for using a guitar for tetrachords is that instead of lying across four strings, the tetrachord can be played on one string. So you tend to tune guitars so that you have strings separated by perfect fourths. And so then you can say each string is a tetrachord if you're playing four notes on it. This guitar is tuned to open E now. Used to be open D. I switched it to open E because this string was buzzing. So that's a bit better now. It's a bit better. It's a bit tighter, higher up. So if you've got a guitar or other string instruments, tetrachords are a useful way of thinking. Possibly because of this, they come up in different theories. So that was the major tetrachord. Another nice tetrachord, a common tetrachord, is the minor tetrachord. The minor tetrachord has a lowered third, so it could be. And I prefer this whole tone, so we'll call it this. So if you join your minor tetrachords conjunctly, you get the Aeolian scale. So, yeah, which is also known as the natural minor. So here's the thing. Let's actually switch to. So I made a video on this channel which I called Desert because I thought it sounded like a desert, and since then, as you may have noticed, Friar Fraggi put up a big long video where he was very upset that well, Westerners, who certainly include me, or Western media, have a stereotyped view of desert music. And the scale I used in that, I'm pretty certain, was based on minor tetrachords. And so I think that sounds like the music of Mali, basically northern Mali. So I associated it with the desert, but I didn't admit that at the time. And of course, completely different to the desert music Friar Fraggi was talking about. So, you know, pick your Western media carefully, I think. Anyway, let's go back to the pickups. Yeah, minor, and obviously the other way of doing minor, which is resolving a different place disjunctly. It's the Dorian scale. Where do we start? That's striking. I shouldn't have played that because that note's outside it, isn't it? One thing you'll notice is that I make mistakes sometimes. So you've got a choice of either watching me making mistakes or watching an artificially generated thing, which will have much better production values but doesn't make mistakes. Another way of making your scales, of course, you enjoying the tetrachords, but treat this as a tonic. So that essentially means in European terminology, that's a plagal mode, I think, and probably that would be hypodorian. So there you go. Oh yeah, it's yeah. I know me play. Well, I know that plagal modes exist. I may have got them wrong, but at least I'm one step up from most people who try to explain modes to you. So the other diatonic mode, and this is where Friar Fraggi fans are all getting ready. The other diatonic tetrachord is the Phrygian. So, well, the Phrygian mode, which is your two conjunct tetrachords, is less common in modern European and such music. So it has an exotic feel, and it often gets used to evoke the Middle East. But there we go. Anyway, Phrygia is a perfectly good medieval mode. And well, let's also try doing different conjunct modes. So if we join the, well, yeah. So let's stick to Phrygian. If we treat Phrygian as a conjunct mode joined together, then it's the Locrian scale, actually. The Locrian scale's on the list of proper European modes, but it's not used very often because it doesn't have a perfect fifth, so you can't build a dominant chord on it. And that also, it's outside of Indian music systems as I understand them. So yeah, anyway, we'll build some other things together. The Mixolydian scale, which we saw as conjunct Ionian, you can also get that by a disjunct Ionian and Dorian. We go. Ionian and Phrygian is the ascending melodic minor scale, or simply melodic minor. So actually, how can that be? It's not. How can it be a melodic minor? It's a rotation of melodic minor, and I've written down what it could. It's Raga Charukeshi, with different spellings from North or South India. There we go. Dorian joins to Ionian is the melodic minor. That makes more sense, doesn't it? We start here, don't we? There we go. That should be that. The Aeolian scale is either Dorian conjunct or Dorian and Phrygian. So this is the main case. The Phrygian tetrachord is used in standard European music. So this is Dorian Phrygian. And Phrygian joined to Ionian. Oh yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So we take the Phrygian scale. This is a whole tone scale plus the tonic. What was it? Yeah, Phrygian and Dorian. It should have been that one. So that's whole tone. Right, look at it. And it's got names or something. I don't know. So those are the basic diatonic tetrachords and the scales built on them. Well, let's talk about some of the history now. Tetrachords, a Greek name. The first theorist, I think, who mentioned them is the first big music theorist in the world. It was Aristoxenus, who was a Greek who was involved with the Pythagorean colony. So I think he was born in Italy, although it wasn't Italy then. And yeah, he described the diatonic, chromatic, and enharmonic genera. So the diatonic ones are the big ones of modern Europe and other places, but we'll come to the other ones. Probably Aristoxenus didn't invent tetrachords. He would have been talking about a theory that already existed. Possibly that came from Mesopotamia or Babylon or Iraq, but we don't actually know. But the fact that it shows up all the way to India suggests it didn't start in Italy. But it could have done. We don't know. And the fact that it isn't found outside of, this band from Europe to India suggests it probably did start in one place, or otherwise, why doesn't someone down in Zimbabwe also come up with the same idea? And as far as I know, they never did. So after the diatonic tetrachords, we have the chromatic tetrachords. So the simple way of getting a chromatic tetrachord is you take a whole tone and an octave, and you join the whole tone in two. And that's not been a very popular sound throughout history, but what you can do is move your semitones I wonder why that is so. Anyway, if you put them at either end of your tetrachord, then you get the scale that Firefraji fans really like. There you go. So that's the chromatic tetrachord, and on this guitar we also have an enharmonic tetrachord. So you have a semitone here, you split that in two equal parts, the semitone was split into one equal. I was getting confused about that. Of course, that's 1, 2, and then that's 1. So on this guitar, chromatic tetrachord splits things unequally, and the point of the whatever it is, so you could also make a chromatic tetrachord from two diatonic semitones. So you point, and that's pointing to some things that are different on this guitar. But well, we'll just consider the enharmonic. We looked at the enharmonic. So Zarlino and Vicentino and others in the 16th century did creative things with the enharmonic, but they didn't use it literally like that. They filled in other notes. It's a bit odd, the enharmonic, and we don't really know if it was ever actually used like that, or Aristocrates just added it to complete a system to show that these small steps, which you could associate at as quarter tones with a guitar different to this, existed. But this is leading us onto different tetrachords that exists with this guitar. This is Magic Temperament. It follows 19, and also it is a good approximation to 9-limit harmony. And in the 9-limit extension of the 7-limit, we have other consonant intervals, and they are the 7-6 and the 9-7. So one thing you can do is stick both of them together. Yes, right there. And that's a good sound. You can also, as I suggested, there's a variant on the chromatic which I did play. Wait. So this 7/6 here, the sub minor third, has a blues sound to me. So it may sound like, you know, the deep South of America or northern Mali, as you. And so you can build your tetrachords out that way. Another thing, if we break the rule of 4 steps to an octave, we get you get a 9-note scale by building these up. And that's similar, but not quite the tripod scale that I used because it fitted my notation. And from looking at lists, I think Joel Mandelbaum came up with that as a scale. So there we go. So yeah, there's one other variation we can add, which is the Lydian scale has a Lydian tetrachord. So we start here. You take the major tetrachord and you raise the fourth by a bit. So this breaks the general rule that 4 steps cover a perfect fourth, but it's required for the Lydian scale to work. And so it happens if you play it this way. That note there is the 11th harmonic, pretty close on this guitar. But your Lydian scale wouldn't normally include that, so it's actually here. So we go, that's Lydian, and that brings us to the melacata. But I'm probably pronouncing all the names from now on wrongly. But there's a melacata system that's used in South India, which means there are 72 octave-based scales that are built up by disjunct tetrachords. So 2 tetrachords separated by a perfect fifth. And these are all the variations of tetrachords that you get on a 12-tone scale. So South Indian music isn't avowedly 12-tone just intonation, but the tetrachords they came up with matched that. And we'll come to that in a minute as well, actually. So the melacata system includes the different diatonic and chromatic tetrachords that fit with a 12-note scale, but also allow you to raise the 4th degree to get a Lydian style tetrachord. So the Lydian tetrachords and other ones, which is why there are 6 different tetrachords, 3 diatonic, 3 chromatic. 6 times 6, 36. So if you make conjunct scales out of them, there are 36. And then you double that by raising the 4th degree and you get 72. So South India has a standard system of describing scales based on 72 different tetrachordly based scales. And so it beats the 6 or 7 you get in Europe generally. So yeah, I made some notes about this so that I'm giving credit here. Melacata was invented in 1550, or at least first described 1550 by Sravamelakalana. I think that's obviously wrong, but There you go. It was modified by Venkatamakin in the 17th century, and the final cleanup and rationalization by Govindacharya. So there we go. That's that. Yeah. So the other thing I was going to mention, in Middle Eastern music, there are tetrachords that don't fit normal notation, and on a guitar you can get them. There are some tetrachords, as I demonstrated, that on this guitar aren't on a 12-tone guitar. But what we also like is the Rust tetrachord, which is something like this. And the way of getting this, it should be between these two. So I think, well, if we go back to the bridge pickups. I think that also has the desert sound, and that's probably because I've been listening to Mauritanian music where that's the kind of thing they do. So there we go. There's another tetrachord. And, you know, if you're thinking, is that about enough of tetrachords? I think you're right. Oh, no, there's another thing. Okay, hang around just a minute. Let's show this. This was C in my other tuning. It'll be D now, won't it? So this is an equable tetrachord, such as described by Ptolemy in 2nd century. It means one of these whole tones is a 10-9, the other one is 11-10. And so in magic temperament, where 99-100 is tempered out, because those two are the same, this gives us an 11-9. And you wouldn't get that on a... if you take the 19-note scale in magic temperament, the MOS, moments of symmetry, following Irv Wilson, you don't get these neutral triads or these... Well, you may get... I don't know if you get any of these tetrachords, but you can build neutral triads out of those. It works on the guitar because of the tuning of guitar. Because, yeah, presumably you can get one of these tetrachords. Actually, I should be here. Was that when I was... I should have been doing this anyway. So the fact that we have two of those that we can join conjunctly or disjunctly, depending on where you think it starts, is because when you can get it on one string of the guitar, you can also transpose it onto the other strings, as the strings are tuned in fourths or fifths. So it's a fifth there. That means we can, once we have your tetrachord on the guitar, you can move it across. And I think this total scale, starting here, isn't it? I think that wouldn't even be possible in 22 notes of magic. So this is a, if all of these comma doubled were there, there'd be 22 frets here. But even that isn't enough to get that as a scale. But because of the way the guitar's tuned, you can get it. So that was our bonus scale and our bonus tetrachord, the equable tetrachord. And so that'll do it. See ya.